Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. Palantir's next earnings is coming up soon on Monday, February 5, and as we get closer, Palantir management continues to tout their AIP bootcamps with these positive quotes, where some may argue they're trying to pump up expectations too much beforehand, or possibly overhyping the effects of AIP bootcamps, but we really don't know. So I'll go over those quotes in the latest tweet by Ted Mabry, as well as my thoughts on just Palantir sharing this as we head into earnings, as well as if I think they're talking too much, too little, or just the right amount and the reason for my opinion. So first, for those new to Ted Mabry, he's the global head of commercial at Palantir and was actually the one who introduced the AIP bootcamps at their second AIP con, where everyone learned about the 0 to use case to 5 days, which actually surprised me then. So it feels like we've come a long way since that time, but still haven't even hit a year. So looking at Ted's latest tweet on AIP bootcamps, he started out with Palantir pioneering the AIP bootcamp, which is redefining, in their opinion, the go-to-market strategy around software, especially with artificial intelligence. This is to emphasize driving actual value and keeping vendors accountable for what they're selling to customers. And he shares 4 key takeaways from their first 500 plus iterations, which is a clue that they've done around 500 bootcamps or organizations or something of that number. I'm not too sure exactly. But first, if you aren't hands on the keyboard, it's a magic show, not a bootcamp. And for those who've worked with sifting through vendors and sitting through demos with their work, I get it. There are some limitations before a deal, of course, is made, so there's some level of scriptedness with these demos. Now, with artificial intelligence, Ted is saying that this is even more so something to be wary of because it can create this illusion of value and says you need to pressure test it yourself. And I get it. When they walk through the demo, they make it look so easy to get that value. They're figuring out exactly what you need to do and what it's designed to do as well. Whereas once your actual data is in there and you're driving the clicks yourself on the platform, that's typically when it becomes much more unclear or the necessity of the practice becoming that much more apparent. So these bootcamps really rip the band-aid off really fast in the beginning, and C says that you just got to work on it day one and not sit back and listen to a demo. At least that's my interpretation. And then second, AI use cases empirically have a faster time to production than other data-heavy applications. This is kind of related to some of the statements that Karp has made in the past when it comes to deadlines. Really, if you're planning out for a schedule, try to cut it in half or make it a quarter of the time and see what happens sometimes. I mean, there's a certain level of realism, of course, but sometimes given the timeline is a way to drag your feet or over-test or over-quality check stuff when in reality you just need to iterate and improve as fast as possible. So with AI especially, he's saying that this is much faster to bring to production. So if you see no progress early on in a few weeks, you really should be pushing buttons to get that progress or just trying to start somewhere there to get something actually coming about. Then 3, don't stop at chat/RAG. This is one kind of self-explanatory one, but it's so important to point out because when ChatGPT came out onto the world stage, everyone immediately saw this application of chat for artificial intelligence. And this is no knock for everyone because it's really an easy way for folks at all levels of technology to start to imagine how they can interact with AI. So sometimes we get stuck with that application that we first are shown of artificial intelligence when in reality, we're only at the seed of how this can be applied. Now, in my own work in healthcare data and clinical reporting, I recognize I'm not working on stuff the majority of the public does, but there are certainly a ton of data engineers, analysts, actuaries like me across industries that can easily see this application of artificial intelligence doing the heavy lifting of automation on certain processes. So sometimes I scare myself out of a job with the capabilities, which I don't think is too far in the future, to be honest, but would technically free me up for the parts I'm good as a human, which is understanding the context of the data and what's important to understand instead of cleaning, manipulating data with code an agent could write. And if I could communicate to it what I'm looking for, then, that's all the better. And then 4, try them all. And this is so telling of Palantir and even of their confidence in their products here. It's kind of a humble brag. You will quickly learn how to find the real AI players when you go through several vendors. And he even goes on to boast with confidence the best scenario is when a customer attempted to work with someone before Palantir, because now they have that comparison where seeing Palantir first, you might get a little spoiled there and you not know what's so good. At least that's what he's insinuating here, in my opinion. So these are awesome learnings to share about AIP bootcamps, as well as some humble brags like I mentioned along the way, but not trying to look too cocky to customers as if they're the only player in town. But maybe at their level, that could be the case. Now, the slide was awesome in my opinion too. You can pause the screen or go to the tweet yourself and save the image. But there are 3 overall themes I want to point out, with the third being the most important in my opinion. But comment your personal favorite quote from the slide, and I'll tell you mine right after these 3. So first, if you've gone through some corporate goal making, you might have heard of SMART acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. A lot of these quotes here aren't just generic or overly general comments that may sound nice, but don't actually give anything smart. But here, actually, you see that. So that first theme is that we get a ton of timeline comments, like doing something daily instead of monthly or quarterly, or something in 2 days instead of a year or weeks to seconds. So you get the gist of it here. The timeline seems to be compressing so much, and that's ultimate value for businesses, considering time saved is more time to allocate to other problems that need the extra attention there. And then the second theme of these slides is resource preservation or just efficiency of using them. One points out needing usually 50 data science and hoping they can understand the business, but they don't want those middlemen, but rather direct data interfacing with the business users who know exactly what is valuable, or building this something 10x faster with 3x less resources. So not only is the resource of time getting saved, but also headcount and money and everything else. But then the most important, in my opinion, the third one is that when these clients are attending the boot camps, it's not just a single solution for a single problem. It looks like it's a platform that they can build on, and their imaginations start going in on how they can expand this. So opening Pandora's box, endless solutions, changing the direction of their AI strategy, and my favorite one here, we can already think of 100 use cases for this. Palantir is giving the tool in your hands because you know the problems the best and that need to be solved as a customer. You might need a little nudge for a platform that enables this, but it leverages the strongest asset with any problem solving, which is the person actually directly dealing with the problem and able to create the solution that makes the most sense, rather than just given a solution that you have to fit into your world there. Now, you can make the argument, of course, that outsiders have a fresh perspective, but the person on the inside really knows it inside and out. So yes, Palantir is giving a lot of information about bootcamps right now before earnings. Some may see this as a way of teasing their confidence of great numbers to come, while others might just see this as more marketing to try to draw in more people, regardless if this is working or not, and then we'll just leave it up to the results. So in my own opinion, I think they could be even sharing more information, to be honest, about bootcamps. However, I'm okay with the current amount because I'd rather wait until earnings, especially since this will be the first real full quarter of bootcamps running, and it kind of stinks not knowing if this is making a real impact at all, but we have to start somewhere, and I'm assuming we'll get our baseline or starting point to compare future quarters, and if they disclose any specifics around AIP bootcamps in February. And I want to add, it's actually been a while too since we've had our last AIP con as well, so maybe it's a good thing because bootcamps are probably easier to run with more intimacy, and no need to stream this for all to see and make it a whole wide presentation. But once we get more publicly disclosed use cases that clients are happy to share, I think screaming the value is awesome, of course, but for those not convinced to come in yet, I think they want to see the capabilities of AIP in a demo, as well as Palantir's other products before jumping in. So that's just my 2 cents to add there while trying to reel in potential clients that are still thinking about it. So no, I don't think they're overhyping AIP bootcamps. They're promoting it in a rather tasteful manner, in my opinion, without shoving it down people's throats and in their faces. Now, if the results fall short, though, we can reevaluate what we've been seeing and hearing from management when we get there. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.